Okay, hello, welcome to Dyscalculia Research Revealed, an interview series. My name is Jess, and I will be speaking with leading researchers in the field of dyscalculia, and together we will explore the most recent and prominent research findings and what these discoveries mean for educators, parents, and individuals with dyscalculia. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the wonderful Daniel Ansari from Western University in Ontario, Canada. He will be sharing a very snappy overview of his research on dyscalculia, current projects, and future directions. Good afternoon, Daniel, or should I say good morning for you? Thank you so
Good
much.
morning, good afternoon, wherever people are in the world. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Jess. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm brilliant. Thank you so much. So to start us off today, Daniel, do you want to just give us a small introduction about yourself and what your main research interests are?
So as you've said, I work at the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, Canada, where I'm a professor of psychology and education, and I'm also a Canada Research Chair in developmental cognitive neuroscience and learning. So my research, I've always been interested in child development more broadly, and via a series of accidents, I would say I ended up studying how children develop a concept of number, and that also led me to developmental dyscalculia. So over the past 20 something years, I've worked on a variety of aspects of how we process numbers using behavioral methods, cross-cultural studies, developmental studies, neuroimaging studies. So we try to really address this issue from multiple different perspectives, and that's what sort of keeps it alive for us and keeps it exciting and an area that I think is of relevance for both basic research but also applied research. It's kind of exciting area to be in.
That is really interesting. Thank you so much for that really quick but great description of where how you've got into this research. So what are sort of the topics that you're focusing on at the moment? Are there any recent findings that you could share maybe?
Yeah, so we are focusing on a variety of topics in the lab. I'm going to just speak about two of them. One of them is we're really trying to better characterize children's use of arithmetic strategies. So we know that when we solve arithmetic problems, for many of them, we will recall them from memory, which, by the way, we might discuss later, turns out to be a real obstacle for individuals with developmental dyscalculia. So we're trying to characterize the diversity of strategies that individuals use, retrieval strategies from memory, but also counting strategies. And we're trying to approach this from a cross-national perspective as well, to try to see how different educational systems kind of influence the mix of strategies that children use. And I think that will be really informative there's a big question in math education, whether we should be teaching multiple strategies or we should just be teaching a standard algorithm with the aim towards retrieval. So there's a lot of sort of opinions about this, but very little research. So we're trying to apply the research lens to it. So that's one direction. Another direction that we've been working on for a long time is numeracy screening. So having, in the domain of reading, made tremendous progress. We now know the building blocks of reading. And I think this is true of the UK. We routinely screen young children for their reading abilities, their foundational abilities, phonics, phonological awareness. And that turns out to be extremely informative to structure practice, to help identify kids who might be falling behind. So we're trying to do the same in the numeracy space. And we're currently finalizing the design of a digital screener that we're going to launch, and then hopefully do some psychometric work and also do some norming reference studies. So those are two areas we're working on amongst a diversity of other areas, but that just gives you a taste for what we are currently working on.
Wow, that's amazing, and so much as well that you're doing with dyscalculia research. That's really exciting to see, and look forward to see where how that comes about and how they go. So, with the research that you've done so far, what do your findings mean for individuals with dyscalculia, or educators, parents, or policy? Maybe you can give us a key takeaway from your findings so far.
Yeah, I mean, these are not just our findings, but findings more generally on dyscalculia. I think one of the things that we have clearly identified in the field, and my lab has contributed to this, is that often children with dyscalculia struggle with understanding numerical quantity, and especially the link between numerical quantity and the symbols we use to represent quantities, our number words, our Arabic numerals. So that's one key finding. I think generally, the kind of research that we've been doing has also helped to raise awareness. You know, we've done a lot of sort of outreach and knowledge mobilization activities, be that through public lectures, through video series, work I did with understood.org on developing sort of primers for developmental dyscalculia. I think the other thing that I think research has helped to establish is that children with developmental dyscalculia, we need to consider their math ability independent of their intelligence. You know, working with any kind of discrepancy criterion, there's just no research to suggest that. Another area in which we have maybe less understanding right now is around the neural basis. So often people say, you know, developmental dyscalculia is a specific learning disorder in math with a biological origin. Well, we still know very little about that biological origin. In a recent study, we had a large group of children with developmental dyscalculia, and we couldn't detect any differences at the brain level in terms of functional activation. Of course, there's going to be differences, but we really need to look deeper into that. So that's a frontier that I think is very important, especially given how much importance we've ascribed to the neural data. But I think there's still a lot of clarity that needs to be sought. So those are some of the things in which we're hopefully making some kind of impact. And certainly hoping to raise the awareness, because as you know, Jess, the awareness around developmental dyscalculia is not as great as it is around developmental dyslexia. It's better in the UK, I should say, than it is, for example, here. Here, most people don't even know how to pronounce it, dyscalculia. So, yeah, we've got a lot of work still to do.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So you've obviously mentioned about more research in the neural pathways around dyscalculia. What else do you think we still need to know about dyscalculia? What research, what would you suggest future researchers look into around dyscalculia?
I think one area of research that is really important is to look at the overlap. Dyscalculia is very rarely the only thing the only exceptionality that a child will present with. So the overlap with reading is very important to investigate more. What implications are there from a basic research perspective, but also for the classroom? Does a child that has both dyscalculia and dyslexia, do they need different instructional approach than a child with only dyscalculia? Then I think one question that I believe your group is raising awareness around is adults with developmental dyscalculia. You know, I have over the years I have a collection of emails of people who've written to me saying, you know, until I read some of the work you published on websites, I didn't know that that's what I had. And you know, now I have something to. I've struggled with math all my life. It's held me back. It's been embarrassing for me. It's prevented me from pursuing certain careers. So I think we need to do a lot more in the adult space to help adults with developmental dyscalculia not only understand their difficulty, but also to help them develop compensatory strategies and to cope better with their learning challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. There's some really, really engaging points, and I really appreciate you taking your time to speak with us today. So thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoyed yourself just as having a very quick overview as well. So thank you to anyone who came and listened today. My name is Jess, and that was Daniel Ansari on the Dyscalculia Network's Dyscalculia Research Revealed, an interview series. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you, Jess, and best of luck. I think the work that your network is doing is tremendously important and will have far implications, not just within the UK, but will be very popular here in Canada as well, no doubt.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you today.
Thanks.